This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, everyone. So welcome to the day two of cloud performance engineering in DevOps, cloud computing. Yeah. So in last session, we have been into these topics: cloud computing introduction. Why do we need cloud computing? What were the things happening in on-prem? And why we tend to move towards cloud computing, cloud. So we did understand that, and we also looked into service models, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. And we also looked into deployment models, public, private, hybrid, and community. And there are major cloud providers. We have AWS, Azure, and GCP. And AWS by far, they are the leading in the market share. Now, though the main reason is that they have started 6 years ahead of any other cloud providers, and so they have most of the services. Sorry, and they have most of the services. Yeah, and then uh, we had to create one AWS account. I hope everyone has created their AWS account. So we'll be starting up with that. We'll be doing some initial setup today, and then we'll get started in depth from our next session. But the initial setup is required. Yeah. Okay, so the agenda for today's discussion would be, we'll be looking into how to do AWS budget setup, because now we have the account with us. We don't want, we want, if we're exceeding the budgets, let's set some budgets, right? Because any company, think from a company point of view, if any company has a fixed amount of budget, so they need to get notified at regular intervals of time, right? Okay, so they have consumed 25% of their budget or 30% of their budget. So similar kind of stuff we'll do with our environment. uh, just small thing on that, but do it's important thing. And we'll also understand today about the AWS regions and availability zones. What are those? And we'll also look into this IAM service. Okay, that's the security service that we need to do. So the agenda for discussion would be these things. Yeah, thank you. So yeah, so we looked into this is the data center, right? And cloud computing, why do we need, and all those things. We understood what was the situation before cloud computing, and what do you mean by virtualization. We did understand that part. And what is cloud computing? So some standard definition here. So if to just make it short, cloud is nothing but the virtualization and automation at its peak. And and simply put, cloud computing is computing based on the internet. uh, that's what I get to provision all my services. I get to provision the resources from based on the internet, right? I'll be somewhere located somewhere, but I can be using the data center located somewhere else. I'll be using the resource, the hardware, all those things remotely. That's what the cloud mean. So, and this is the service models. We looked into infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. And we looked into examples, how these are different. And yeah. We also looked into deployment models, right? So we have hybrid, public, community, and private. We all understand now what does this mean, right? What do we mean by private? What do we mean by community, public, hybrid? If someone speaks about, suppose your architecture, being a performance engineer, you need to be knowing about the architecture of your application. So these things are important to know. What type of deployment model your architecture is having? Is it hybrid model, or is it public model, cloud? So what all things? It is SaaS, PaaS, or infrastructure service. So you need to know all these things. That's why we are discussing all these things. They are basics but important. And these are the major cloud providers, right? AWS, Azure, and GCP. But there are other cloud providers as well. But these are the they have the major markets here. Yeah. And this is one of the studies from Canalys that it definitely shows that AWS has the maximum market share of 33%, right? And followed by Azure, right? They have around 19 to 20%. This is the latest study, Q3 2020. And then we have GCP and then Alibaba and some others. And this is called Magic Quadrant of cloud infrastructure and platform services. So we can see that in the leaders, right? In the leaders, we have AWS, Microsoft, and Edge, and Google. So these are the leaders, and the challenges are like Alibaba, Oracle, IBM, and Tencent Cloud. So these are the potential players that have the potential to grow and come to leaders. But for now, they are the leaders, and Amazon is clearly is like is the best. Yeah. And we also looked into these AWS history, right? They have started quite long time back. They have the 6 years ahead of any other cloud provider. So they have developed a lot and still developing. They are still developing. And so, yeah. And the major uh, the customers are Netflix for AWS, and obviously Amazon videos are hosted in AWS, right? Netflix, NASA, Dropbox, Airbnb, all these customers, they have hosted their application in AWS. So we were here in the last, we ended our last session here. That we're supposed to create our AWS account. It's very simple, straightforward. You get to access immediately. You don't have to wait, and it's easy to. It's best to have this account created to practice, because if you don't practice, you don't learn, and we tend to forget everything. So it's always good to practice. I hope everyone has the account. Okay, so let's start. I'll come to this account. I'll come to this account even I have created a new account yesterday. So your account and my account is same. So we're gonna look into that part. Before that, we're gonna uh, look into some important uh, concepts. Okay, then I'm going to demonstrate everything in in AWS console as well. Okay, so now this is called term AWS region. Okay, what do we mean by AWS region? So we have data centers. These are data centers. In the first slide I showed you what do we mean by a data center, right? It's an infrastructure. It's a building where all our hardware and all the resources, everything is placed, right? So when I say data center, I asked you to imagine something like this, right? So a big infrastructure where all your servers are hosted, right? And now I'm showing you three such data centers. When I combine multiple data centers, two or more, I'm showing three here, that's fine. But when I combine more than multiple data centers, I call that as a region. AWS call that as a region. So when someone tells you that this is called a region, this is my region, this is my Phoenix region in US, or that this is my Mumbai region, or this is my in Europe, Australia region, someone like somewhere in some name of a place, a country, or any state, anything. Okay, it could be a name of a city. So when I say it's a region, so just imagine that it has multiple data centers. Don't imagine that it has just one data center. Or one region will have, definitely they will have multiple data centers. for the simple region, they want to make high availability. To achieve high availability, if I am a customer, I would like to host my application in multiple data centers in the same region. Suppose I hail from US, Phoenix area. So if I want to deploy my application, I would like to deploy my application in multiple data centers. So suppose if this data centers goes down by some regions, some earthquake or some natural disaster, something, I don't want my application to go down. I want my requests to be uh, pulled and serviced by some other data centers. So to achieve high availability, so that's the again important word, high availability. So in cloud we use these words. So these words are important. High availability. So to achieve high availability, I basically would like to deploy my application in multiple data centers for the same region, in the same region. I don't want to deploy just in one data center, right? If this goes down, suppose some power cut happened, some region, I don't know, we cannot be sure about anything, right? Power cut happened and my application is down. I don't want to suffer in my business, right? So I would like to get my application deployed in multiple data centers. Uh, yeah. So when I say region, just imagine, it's a very simple thing I'm telling. It's just imagine multiple data centers, two or more. It could be, mostly it is three. That's why I have shown three here, but it's multiple data centers. Yeah. Now the second term, we talked about region. Second term is availability zone. Okay, AZ, we call it AZ. A data center, so think of an availability zone as a data center, as simple as that. So basically, one region will have multiple AZs, multiple availability zones. So that data center, what I showed you in the diagram, last diagram, that data center, one data center is called one AZ, availability zone. Okay. So as simple as that. So now from now onwards, we'll not call that as a data center. It's a limit. It's basically it's a data center, but in the AWS world, it's called AZ. One AZ, two AZ, three AZ. So each region has multiple availability zones. That's what I told you. Multiple data centers. So from now onwards, we'll not call data center. We'll call AZ. Usually three, minimum two, max six. That's what, and they have put it. So why? For the simple region, to maintain high availability. For the simple region, in one region they have multiple AZs. Okay, so each AZ is one or more discrete data centers with redundant. So that's the important point to note here: redundant power, networking, and connectivity. And they are separate from each other so that they are isolated from disasters. Same thing as I mentioned. And they are connected with high bandwidth, ultra low latency networking. So they are also connected, right? Because if I'm putting a load balancer, suppose here, and if I'm putting a load balancer between two AZs, right? So because basically I'm sending my request in both. So in this diagram, I'm showing you one Sydney region, okay, and it has three AZs. The name is AP Southeast 2A, 2B, and 2C. Okay. I'm going to show this in AWS console as well. So now I have three AZs in that Sydney region, and they are connected using high bandwidth, ultra low latency networking. Okay, so that's the important point. Okay, so this is just two basic terms as I just mentioned: region and AZs. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so let's understand this AWS global infrastructure. Let me take you to this particular link. Okay, and then we're gonna understand this in a more graphical way. So, okay, So now we're gonna discuss this AWS global infrastructure. Okay. So this is how AWS global infrastructure looks. Okay. So if I click here, we're gonna see that there are regions. Okay. This orange dots. Okay. These orange dots are called region. Okay. And this blue dots is called AZs, and then we have points of presence that's called CloudFront. I'll come to that, but just know there are some other things as well. So we just keep it simple for now. We have regions and availability zones both. So let me go to one of the regions. Let me go to the Paris. Okay, I'm in Paris. Okay, so this is my Paris region. It is clearly mentioning that it has 3 availability zones, 3 data centers in this Paris region. It is from AWS site only. I'm informing you, and they are also showing that how they are connected. These regions and these data centers, these AZs, how they're connected. So if I click here, this is my region, okay, and these um, blue ones, right? These blue ones, blue dots are my AZs. So these are the 3 data centers. They have it 1, 2, and 3. And backside of this Paris, they have it. Okay, let me click somewhere else. Frankfurt. Okay, let me Milan. Okay, I'm in Milan now. So even this Milan has 3 availability zones, and they are showing how they're connected, right? So yeah, so just they are just let me. So we are just explaining about some things. This is called availability zones and data centers. That's fine. Okay, so let me go back into the Paris. Yeah, so that's what they call it. Okay, and they have this points of presence also. I'll come to that. So these are the uh, they are called cloud fronts. These are the small data centers with smaller scale. I'll come to that. So between so this is the region. Okay, so region is just a name, but the main is that they have 3 availability zones. Okay, and this is where all these hardwares are located. Okay, so these AZs, and we also have this cloud front, because suppose if I want to send my request from Paris data center to somewhere in Australia, right, somewhere, then I cannot send directly. I have to traverse this path, and these are called cloud fronts. So these cloud fronts, points of presence. Okay, so they have points of presence as well. They are called cloud fronts. So they basically amplify your request. Okay, or basically you mean to say, suppose this Australia, suppose this is my Australia, or let me just take a real-time example. So this is the Frankfurt. Okay, Frankfurt region. uh, if this Frankfurt region data center wants to get one request from Paris data center, right? So they can get it from these points of presence. They don't have to go to this data center. They can get it from this pink dot, the request, because this pink dot is connecting my Paris data center to this Frankfurt DC, Frankfurt AZs, right? So I can get this particular request can be served from this points of presence. This cloud front is called. Okay, I'll come to that. So basically, this I was just thought to just share this with you. Let me just ping this in the group. You can also take a look at the AWS global infrastructure. Okay, so yeah, if I click here, it shows me this. Okay, so basic definitions and all. Yeah, AZ's definition. and POP, points of presence. So what is this POP? These are called Amazon CloudFront. Okay, CloudFront is again one of the services of AWS services. AWS operates the largest global content delivery network (CDN) of any cloud provider to enable customers to securely deliver data, videos, and applications and APIs to their end users with low latency and high transfer speeds. The Amazon CloudFront CDN delivers customers content through a worldwide network. They have 216 plus points of presence, with consist of edge locations. So edge locations and regional edge cache servers. So we are continuing to aggressively expand. So they're growing. So basically what I meant, that same thing. If I'm this in Paris region, and if this Frankfurt data center is requesting something, if they want to get this information from this data center, so basically they can use this points of presence, this CloudFront, uh, to service this particular request. So that's why they are in between. So in between data centers, in between AZs, we have POP, points of presence, so that the request gets serviced quite fast. That's the region. Okay. So basically there are three things: region, AZs, and points of presence. Okay. So yeah. Then you can just go about looking into this particular site more. Yeah. Okay, so this is about this AWS global infrastructure. So and so if I talk about this region, right? So AWS now spans 77 availability zones. They have 77 availability zones with 24 geographical regions. So they have 24 geographical regions and 77 availability zones around the world, and has announced plans for 9 more availability zones. So they are expanding. Yeah, and every cloud provider is expanding because they want to reach everywhere, right? So basically, I'm in India, and if I want a data center, right, so I need to get it. Not if the data center is far, if I want to host my application in US availability zone, so there will be a delay in getting all the requests done. So basically I would like to get my application hosted in Mumbai region. We have a region in Mumbai as well, and this in Hyderabad it's coming in India. So yeah, that's why they are. So this, if this Australia guy, if Australia guy wants to host their application, they would not host in US or in some other country, right? They would like to get hosted in the Australia region only, and they can use points of presence, POP, cloud fronts, to make the service available, serviced fast, right? So they can configure that as well, POP. So we're gonna demonstrate everything, all these things. Okay, so in the action, when we look into this AWS console, and these are the other regions here. Yeah, yeah, and this blue ones are regions, and this orange dot is coming soon. So yeah. Okay, so this is about 24 launched regions. They have it already. 5 announced regions, 77 availability zones. They have it, and they are serving into 245 countries, and they have 220 plus points of presence. Okay, that's important, points of presence, because they sit in between data centers. If two data centers are located far from each other, so these points of presence help to get the request service done quite fast. So these points of presence are also important. And when we are planning to deploy our application, we also provision points of presence as well. I would like to get myself connected to all the important data centers. So I need to also choose that I want these points of presence also configured with my application. So those stuff. Okay, so what is this AWS points of presence, right? As I was just mentioning about those in between dots, right? So these are called edge locations, okay, and very important. These are very important as well, like your uh, AZs. So Amazon has 217 points of presence, 205 edge locations, and 12 regional caches, and in 84 cities across 42 countries. Okay, so content is delivered to end users with low latency. That is why the main point of having using POP, points of presence. Okay, I want my content to be delivered with low latency. I don't want much of a delay. If same thing, right? If this Australia guy is requesting something from a data center located in US, right? It will be very it will be a delay if there is no communication in between. So basically there will be a channel of points of presence data centers so that uh, your request will be served from nearby points of presence, nearby edge locations, not always from the data center or AG located in the US, right? So, so AWS edge locations only serve content delivery functions such as CloudFront. Okay, so again, this is one of the services, CloudFront. Edge locations are also data centers. Edge locations are also data centers, but with limited functionality, right? Okay. So if I took you to this particular link, let me just take you to this link to understand more. So we just looked into, so to keep it simple, we looked into what do we mean by region. We understand that, we understood what is this AZ, availability zone, and we are just talking about the third term now, that's called CloudFront. Okay, that's called points of presence. That's what we are just into our third term. Okay, CloudFront. So, and why do we need that? Yeah, to deliver content to your end users with low latency, we need CloudFront. Okay, and if you want to understand, in North America, we have edge locations. Okay, and also we have regional edge caches. CloudFront is combining of both edge locations as well as regional edge caches. Uh, for a simple reason, to just reduce the delay. I don't want much of a delay in getting my request served, right? For that reason, I also have edge locations, CloudFront. CloudFront, I also have CloudFronts, and this CloudFront has two things. Uh, that is what I have. I use this for to get my request served without delay, right? That's what it is. So these are all the locations in different regions. So yeah. See, the best way is to see here. Amazon CloudFront is continuously measuring internet connectivity, performance, and computing to find the best way to route requests to our network, taking into account performance, load, operational status, and other factors to deliver the best experience in real time. So why do we need to understand about all these things? Because suppose if you're architecting our application in AWS cloud, right? Being in architecture, this is very important to configure, because I would not like to configure a POP far off from me, right? I would like to use POP which is near to me, right? And they are well connected from the important data centers from where I am requesting. Uh, I'm trying to get my information, right? So this is very important while configuring, while architecting your application using AWS cloud. That's why we are discussing about all these things. These are very important. POP, points of presence, CloudFront, they call it. Okay. So Amazon CloudFront is also running on the AWS Global Network backbone that allows for efficient transmission of requests between the CloudFront edge locations and other AWS services. Okay. So I hope you understood why do we need this, right? And you can just read more about it. Okay. Yeah. Oh, they in November 17 launches in Thailand. Okay, so they have launched one more CloudFront in Thailand in November 17. So you need, if you want to keep this thing updated, you can. So yeah, yeah. So from performance point of view, yeah, that's what I just mentioned. Why do we need that and all those things? Yeah, perfect. So CloudFront, yeah. Okay. So let me go to my console now and let's do some hands-on. We'll do a hands-on on billing dashboard today. We'll do an account setup. We all have the account with us, so we'll be setting up our billing dashboard so that we don't want if we want to get notified if we're exceeding our budget, right? From a company point of view, I need to get this done. So we'll do that. And then we'll look into IAM, okay, hands-on. So we also need to configure the IAM user. I'll tell you what is this IAM user. IAM stands for Identity and Access Management. For now, just know this. I'll explain more about this when I will uh, in the cloud console. Yeah. Okay. Let me go to my cloud console. Okay, let me sign in. Okay, so you need to sign in as you sign in as the root user. Okay, okay, let me just sign out. I just saved it. So okay, yeah, okay. So what do we do? You first sign in as the root user. So you get this particular screen when you want to log in to AWS console, right? For the first time, you log in as the root user always. So let me, I also created one account yesterday so that I understand. Okay, yeah. So this is my account. So this is my email ID. So that's the root user. So I am in the root user. So notice that I have two options to select here, root user and IAM user. I'll talk about this IAM user, but I don't have any IAM user created. Basically, I need to log in as the root user and then I need to create one IAM user. From next time, I'll never be using a root user. I'll be always using as the IAM user. The root user has to be very secure and safe. So think from a company point of view. If I own a company, I'm the root of my, and I am using AWS services to deploy my application, to manage my resources, to manage to whom I need to give access in the company, what type of access, what level of access. I can do all these things in AWS console. Okay, and I'm the root. So now I'm gonna log in as the root, and I'm gonna create one IAM user. Then I'll logging from the next time I'll always use, and I will give that IAM user some admin access, some privileges to work in the account, right? So suppose consider that IAM user as one of the employee in your organization, some admin. Okay, so first time I'll log in as the root user. Okay, so I have selected the root user here. I'm giving my email ID, clicking on next. Okay, so I have the password here, right? So I hope everyone has can access till now, right? That's what we was expected, that everyone should have this account created so that we can practice on our AWS console. Okay. So that is how it looks, your AWS console, when you log in for the first time. And just now I was talking about regions, right? So if you select here, drop down, so you can see all the regions listed here. Okay. So if you count, it will be around 24. I hope, but let's not do that. But just to make you aware, like, so this is the U.S. East, North Virginia, U.S. This is the name, U.S. East 1, U.S. East 2, U.S. West. So these are all the regions. Okay. If I want to work in somewhere near to my location, you can choose your as per your location. I'm gonna choose Mumbai here because Mumbai is near to my location here. Okay, I live in Bangalore, so Mumbai I can use this region. Basically, if I am provisioning any EC2 instance or any services, any compute, so it would be better, right? So if I have this region located nearby to me, because I'm accessing, I'll be doing all the work from Bangalore, and if my data center is located nearby, I'll get the request that there will be less delay, right? So think from that point of view. Because I am basically using internet to connect to the Mumbai region. If I choose a data center far off from me, it's not like I cannot use that, but there may be a slight delay, negligible to our eyes, but there may be, right? So distance, but they have to travel. The request has to travel. Once I'm clicking here, so request is going right to Mumbai region and to all the wherever I'm selecting. So I have selected my region near to my location. You can choose yours as per your location. That's fine. Even I can use something else also. No, it's just a matter of choice. Okay, so first thing I did that. Second thing, so there are a lot of services. Okay, let me just walk you through this particular uh, console, and then I'm going to talk about billing dashboard here. Okay, I'm going to come to this billing dashboard and talk about it. Then I will talk about IAM user. Let me make you comfortable about this AWS management console first. So if you want to, first of all, this is a very good particular, they have very good documentation as well. If you want to read about particular things, so DevOps, machine learning, big data, you can go inside this, and they have 3 videos, 3 tutorials. You can just go about reading, exploring about all these things. So for any services, let's talk about billing, right? I just mentioned about billing. So what you need to do, you need to come to services here and you need to search here. Okay. So there are services here. A lot of these are called AWS services. Okay. A lot of services are there, a lot of them. So we're gonna look into some relevant ones, but this list is endless and it's difficult to master all the things. Okay. So very difficult. It will take your lifetime to complete all, to know about all and they're still developing. They have something on Internet of Things, a lot of them. They would have something on ML, machine learning. They'll have something on big data. They will have on database. Okay. Um, like compute. To start with compute, we'll look into what is this EC2 instance we mean. We'll be looking into maybe our next session. EC2, we have this Lambda. What is this Lambda? What is this Elastic Beanstalk? So we'll be looking into these things in this compute region. And there are storage services called S3 EFS, right? Storage gateway, S3 Glacier. We'll look into that part. They have on the database side, they have so many options: RDS, relational and DB, DynamoDB, Elastic Cache, Neptune. So a lot of them. Okay. In the management, they have this CloudWatch, CloudFormation, all these things. A lot of services. So a lot of them. So networking, will look into VPC. So CloudFront, I just mentioned, right? It is also one of the services, CloudFront. Uh, we have API gateway, we have Route 53. We'll be looking into all these things in detail. We'll understand about all these things. Okay, important, relevant ones. What we need as a performance engineers, we'll look into those aspects. Okay, ECR, we have it, container, Elastic Container Registry. We'll understand that, and we have Elastic Kubernetes Service. We'll look into that. We have Elastic Container Service. Will definitely EKS is important. We'll look into in detail about EKS and ECS also, Elastic Container Service. For the developer tools, some developer is using the application. They can use X-ray to look into their code performance. So, and if someone is using this a DevOps guy, they can use this code pipeline. I don't know where it is, but you can find it. But this is not the way to find here. Okay, but looking at, so we always search here. That is how we do it. That's what I just want you to know, that if I want to know about a service, I will search here. I want to know about billing, I will search here, billing. I can go to my billing dashboard. I can go inside the particular uh, service. Okay, just selected on billing. So now I'm going to the billing. So that's what it is. So it is a fresh account. So I don't have any credits, any payments to make here. But I can also go to billing from here, billing dashboard. I would get the same thing. So, but for all the services we come here, we'll also look into IAM today. That's called Identity and Access Management. We'll look into that. So we'll create IAM users. So I can come inside. So I'm inside one of the services. Okay. I can come to EKS similarly, right? Elastic Kubernetes Service. That's what we're gonna explore a lot in detail. Very hot cake in the market. EKS launched uh, just it's about 1 year. They have integrated, AWS guys have integrated this EKS. Kubernetes is there from last 5 years, but AWS guys have integrated EKS as one of the services. These are called managed services. Okay, so we're gonna talk about a lot in detail about EKS and Kubernetes in general. So to explore any service, basically you have to come here and search it. I know that EC2 I can find it here, but I would like to do this. Okay, EC2. I just mentioned about CloudFront, right? Let me do CloudFront. It's not case sensitive. Okay, it's not like case sensitive. You can search easily. Okay, it will not CloudFront. So I just mentioned about CloudFront, right? Points of presence. I can come here and I need to create it for my application, right? Yeah, so a lot of, so for any services, right? For any services, you can find details. Let me just take VPC, one of the networking concepts we're gonna discuss in detail. VPC, that's called uh, so we're gonna look into a lot of detail, virtual private cloud, right? We're gonna discuss about networking, how do we, what do we mean by internet gateway, what do we mean by uh, all these things. Okay, so what is this route table, what is this subnet, what is this VPC? You can see that by default for the Mumbai region, I have one VPC created, right? So by default it is there. So this is the VPC for my Mumbai region. Okay, so we're going to talk about all these things. What is this NAT gateway, and how do we connect from on-prem to cloud? Suppose I have one particular database in on-prem, and I have other components in the cloud. How do we get connected, right? So we have something called site-to-site connectivity connections. We have some gateways. So we'll look into all these things. So networking is very important to understand. You don't understand networking, uh, we need to understand from a performance point of view. Okay, so what does this mean actually? If I give you this CIDR, what do we exactly mean by this? It means a range of the IP address, some range. So we'll look into all these things in detail. That's what I'm just informing you for now, that for any service, we come here and search here. Okay. Let me go to my billing dashboard now. Let me create one. That's what we're gonna do now. So I don't have any bills, but I would like to get notified if I'm exceeding any particular uh, limit, right? So let me go to my budgets. Let me create a budget first of all. You guys can also do it, okay, for your account as I'm doing it. So create a budget. I just clicked on create a budget. So there are four types of budget I have: cost budget, usage budget, reservation budget, savings plan budget. So let me go to the cost budget. I just select on set your budget. Okay, I can give a name, whatever, AWS learning, whatever. I can give it anything, any name. You can just a name of the budget. So it's monthly. Oh, let's keep it monthly. Or recurring. I want recurring. Fixed. That's fine. How much I want? Let's put $1. I don't want to spend more, and I want to get notified even if I'm. It's free tier, right? Some seven. Okay. API gateway. It is okay. Just to answer you, it is a gate. It is a service where we create API. Developer uses this API gateway to create API, REST API, RESTful services. We can do that. We can also look into that as well. What is this API gateway? Okay. But we're going to talk about that in detail in some separate session. But let's do some initial setup first for the account. We'll do budget setup and IAM user creation for today. Okay. So, okay, so just give your name of the budget, monthly, recurring budget, select fixed. Okay, $1, you can select any dollar. Let me select everything. Okay, configure thresholds. Okay, let me configure thresholds. When do I want to get notified? I want to get notified if I am 50% of my $1. So I'm just choosing anything random. Okay. So when this much my account billing will go higher than this much amount, I'll be notified. Okay, I'll be getting one email. Let me give my email. Okay, this is my email. So I'll be notified. I have been receiving a lot of emails because I have been exceeding. In my last AWS account, I have built quite a bit. So I was doing this. EKS is not free tier, okay, and we worked a lot on EKS, so I was built. So that's fine. We learned a lot. Okay, so this is the email I just notified. Okay, I created confirm budget. Okay, done. Create. Okay. So I just set up my one budget, okay, and I'll be notified. Uh, in the future, you will notice that I'll be notified. Even you guys, if you do the same thing. So I have put the list possible. Not if I exceed $0.5 dollar, so I'll be notified. Okay. So that's the one part on the AWS budget. Let me do one IAM creation. So that's the initial setup that we need to do. Okay, and you can also create some other budgets also as per your requirement. I have just put cost budget, but there are four options, right? There are four options, as I mentioned. Usage budget, you can also write usage budget. If your usage is going this much, you can. There are four types: monitor your usage of one or more specified usage types, and you can alerts. So track the RI, so reservation budget again, track the utilization and coverage associated with savings. So there are lot of options. So we just did one. That's fine for our purpose. Okay. Let me create one IAM user because I'm into root account now. You can notice that I'm in this root account. I would not like to use this all the time, root account. Root account has to be very secure, safe, right? I don't want to use this. So, and this is my AWS account ID. Okay, this is my AWS account ID. Even so, this is the URL. If I want I'm a company, if I want my employee to use my AWS account, because that's where I'm gonna deploy my application, I'm gonna provision servers, I'm gonna work everything. What are permissions I need to provide? So basically, I need to provide this email, this particular link to my employee, and this is my AWS account. I don't want this account to be displayed to all the users, right? So I'm gonna do an alias. So you can just notice that if I do customize here, I get to select something. I can use my company name, anything I can use it. Okay, I think it doesn't allow caps. I can use anything. Okay, so okay, so I have used this preferred alias for account. So this will be masked now. My account, AWS account ID will be masked now. Okay, so just now you notice, right? It was something, it was showing my account ID, but now it is showing this. I can access this basically. I can access this if I have to provide my employee the access to my AWS console, because if some developer is there or DBA is there, they need to work in the AWS console, right? So I would provide this. Basically, this will have my company name if I own a company, but I've simply used this. They can log into this and then they can use this. So I have not created this guy. Any IAM user, I'm going to do it. So basically, for IAM user is what my employees. Okay. So if a DBA is there, employees. So for all the employees, I will create one IAM user so that they can use the same link and they can use their IAM user and password will be specific to them, right? So they can use to the same account ID. So I have masked my account ID. I don't want to get it displayed all the time. So that's what I masked my account ID. And then I'm going to create the users for my employees. That's what the IAM user is for, and then they will be logging as the password to the AWS console. That's why root account is, so it has to be secure. So let's understand how do we create IAM user. Okay, so look, because I logged into this guy, I got logged out. Let me just log back in again. I hope you guys are following, right? Everything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Okay, let me just, yeah. So this is my again root account. Um, So first thing is that let's secure our root account. Okay. To do that, I'm gonna enable multi-factor authentication. Okay. That's why I asked everyone to download one app, Google Authenticator. Okay. I'm gonna enable my root account with multi-factor authentication. I don't want my root account to get hacked, right? I want multi-level of security, right? So let me enable MFA, okay, and then I'm going to activate MFA, okay, okay, and then I just selected on. You can just do it later. You will be getting recording of this particular session, and then you can do it. So for your account, so you can just click on activate MFA here. It is the same thing we do with other accounts, right? If they have it, and you're going to select this virtual MFA device. That's what this Google Authenticator will be handy. So in the Google Authenticator, we always get one, this guy, uh, 6-digit, right? 6-digit. I hope you guys can see that.
Token. You can call it token.
Huh?
You can call it
Token.
token.
Right. You are perfectly. You are right. So we get token, right? 6-digit password. We have it. Some token. We have it. It's randomly. It keeps on updating every sometime. It keeps on changing. So you have, if you want to log in, you have to use that particular token, right? So I'm going to continue. Click on continue. So I have got one QR code. Okay, I am using my mobile to scan this QR code. Why? So QR code. So just now I got one QR code and I'm using my mobile here to scan it. So once you have this Google Authenticator, you get this plus symbol, right? You need to click on this plus symbol and you can scan a QR code, right? So that's what I'm doing it right now. I just did, and I'm getting one token. Okay, I just got one token. I'm gonna put this token, fit this token. Okay, so 232291. It will be changing, so I don't need to worry. This will be, and again, after some time there will be one more token. So I need to use immediate token of that after that. Okay, I have used 2 token, and I'm gonna click on assign MFA. Done. So after that, that particular token, this particular QR code will be in your Google Authenticator app. And next time, if you want to log in as the root user, you will have to put this token as well. Okay. So I just did. I just made my root account secure. I don't want anyone to hack this account, right? I just made it secure. Yeah. Okay. So password. MFA just did access keys. That's fine. I don't need it for now. I'll talk about that. CloudFront. We're gonna talk about these things later, but for now, MFA is fine. Okay. So let me create one user. So what is this user, right? Suppose I own a company and there are a group of developers, group of testers, group of DBAs, group of DevOps guy. I am the root user, right? I need to create some group and assign some privileges. I cannot give admin privileges to everyone, right? So this concept of IAM, again, one of the important services. This concept of IAM is for that identity and access management. Okay, so now you understand this meaning, right? I can create group of admins, good group of developers, group of testers, group of DBAs, group of DevOps guys, group of performance engineers. I can add the users in that group. I can assign roles, I can assign policies to that particular group, so that the level of uh, security or level of privileges they have for that AWS account, I can monitor that. I have to provide as a root user, right? So that I cannot give admin rights to everyone, right? So for that sake it is. Okay, so let me create one group first, or we can also create one user. Let me create one user. I think I should create first group. Let me create one group first. Okay, new group. Let me call this, because I'm going to add myself to this group. I want like to give admin. So this name could be anything. Admins. I'm just giving this name admins. I'm creating a group because I'm going to add myself to this group. And next time I'll be logging as the IAM user. I'll never be using this root account from next time. Okay. So I'm just creating a group here. Let me give this, and this is the level of policy I have to provide. From here I can provide policy. Let me give administrator access. So this guy will have a lot of accesses. So let me give this administrator access to this guy. And let me go next step, create group. Okay. So just created a group for the admins. Okay. You can similarly, you can create multiple groups for your organization. Okay. let me go to users. Let me add user. Okay. Let me give this guy. Let me give this guy, add this guy to this particular group. I want both the accesses, all the access possible. Let me also give one password. I can also give a password. This could be auto-generated as well. Mostly, if it is your employees, organization, you would do that. But since I'm adding it for myself, I can do this. Okay, I just created this. Next permissions. I'll be adding this to group. So that's it. I can just name, I can tag anything, name first user, whatever I can do it. First user. Let me just, anything that should be fine. Review. So I'm just reviewing. Okay, that yeah, I have the admin access. Everything is fine. Create user. So I'm just creating my user. Okay, and I'll be doing one thing. I'll be downloading this CSV file. This CSV file will have all the details. Okay, if I would be using random generated password, this password will be here, and even I can send this particular information. Suppose if I'm adding one DBA, okay, I can send the mail to DBA that this is your credentials. You can use this particular credentials to log into the AWS account, and then I can also, and if I'm the one who gave the permission, right, so I need to make sure what permission they can get it. So yeah, so I'll keep it safe with me. Okay, I'm not going to show this to anyone. When you should not, so this will have just the credentials, but I have used custom password, so I know the credential. Okay, so let me I just downloaded it and then just close it. Okay, that's it. I just created the Rosen user, and I'm gonna do next. I'm gonna sign out here. Okay, and I'm gonna logging as the signing to the console. Now I'll be selecting IAM user. Now I'll be selecting IAM user here. So I have given some account ID, right? AWS one. I think this was I gave. Yeah. Yeah, I gave this. I'll keep this handy somewhere safe, and I'm gonna use my IAM user now. Whatever the IAM user I created, I'm gonna use that now. I'm logging as the IAM user now, not as the root account. Okay, so I'll not be asking. It will not be asked for multi-factor authentication. Whenever I'm logging as the root account, I'll be asked that. So I know the password. If not, I would be using the one-time generated password. But I have used custom password, so I know the password. Okay. Let me download something I downloaded, right? Let me just, is it creating a problem? Let me just see this. Okay. I just took that to the next screen. Okay. Other screen. So some password have also got, okay, I'm using the wrong thing. Okay. Here. I use this. Yeah. So my alias, this is my account ID, alias, the one I created. Yeah. Perfect. I just logged in and it's asking some new password. Let me just. Okay. That's why I downloaded that CSV. That CSV has all the information, the link and all. Okay, yeah. I can also show you this CSV. It should not be a problem because the password is something else there. Let me just show you. Okay, so this is the CSV you'll get. Okay, and you'll have all the credentials here, your username, your all the details, your link, your one-time password, your access key. You'll have all these things. Okay, in the CSV. Yeah. Okay. Good. So now I have logged in as the IAM user. You can see this Roslan at the rate of this root account, right? My alias. I have logged in as that. So that's what you're gonna see. Now, if I go to my billing dashboard, I will not see all those details. I will not be having permissions of my root account. Though I am admin, that billing information and all, I cannot see this. Only the root user can see this. Okay. Even admins cannot do this. Only these things are is accessed by the given to the root user. So I can provide access, but leave it. There has to be some this kind of billing management has to be done by the root user, right? Yeah. So this is the IAM user. So you can also do the same thing for your account, and you can get your billing set up and IAM, because from next time, from tomorrow, we're gonna look into all these services. Okay, EC2 services. We'll start with EC2. This is the basic compute instance. That's what the server we will be doing. What we'll be using virtualization, and we'll be creating our first compute instance, your first server basically. EC2 is the name specific to the AWS. If you're using some other cloud provider, they will use something else. If I'm using Oracle, they will use compute instances. They will simply call it instances. EC2 is the name just specific to AWS. EC2 stands for Elastic Compute Cloud. EC2, they call it. Elastic, E for Elastic, and C for compute, again C for cloud, Elastic Compute Cloud. So we're gonna demonstrate this. We're gonna create our first EC2 instance. We'll be working as the IAM user all the time now. So, and we'll also see what is this key, how do we create key pair, what is this elastic IP, how do we create keys, because to access my EC2 instance, I'll be using PuTTY. If I'm using, since I'm using Windows, so I'll be using PuTTY here. So you need to also download PuTTY. PuTTY, I hope if you don't know about PuTTY, so this is what you can download PuTTY. It's free. You can just download PuTTY for the next. I will also inform you again in the next session. Okay. So to connect to this EC2 instance, I'll use PuTTY, and I'll be using this key pair. I'll be generating key pair to get inside my server. And when I'm inside my server, I can do anything, right? I can deploy my application server. I can do a lot of things. I can host my application. I can do a lot of things. And slowly we'll look into all these things. EC2 is the most important services that we need to learn. One of the first, because they initially came up with EC2. AWS became famous because of this instance, EC2 instance, and S3 they come up with. So SQS, S3, and EC2. These are the three first AWS services. Now they have plethora of services, but initially it was S3, EC2, and one is called SQS, Simple Queue Service. They initially came up with these three services. Now you can see back in 2008, but now you can see they have developed so much. Okay, so we'll be looking into this EC2 services, and slowly we will learn a lot of things here. What is spot request? What is AMI? What do we mean by volumes? What is this elastic volume EBS? What is this EFS? What is the security group level of security they have it? What is elastic IP? What is this load balancer? And this load balancing and auto scaling group is very important from a performance point of view, right? Because we want our servers to auto scale and load balanced, both the things, right? We'll be exploring a lot. We'll be talking a lot about load balancing and auto scaling. That's about EC2. Someone asked me about API gateway, right? Let me just show you. API gateway is where we create, it is for the developers basically, not for the performance. We just need to use it. It is the services to create API, RESTful API, right? So we can create API. Developers use these services to develop their API, REST API. Develop a REST API where you gain complete control. Yeah. So, and the best part is that for the AWS is that if you want to learn, they have a lot of documentation. Let me show you one of the important examples. If I talk about EKS, okay, because we're going to talk a lot about Kubernetes. So they have all this documentation in the world. You can just, for all these services, they have this documentation. You can just go about reading this, okay? If you want to know more about in detail, but we're going to talk a lot about this. It's a very huge documentation. If you see here, if you download for all the services, they have this documentation. A lot of them, there would be 400, 500 pages. It's not that they have put like a book, okay? So for all the services, they have this good documentation with them. So we're going to learn all this slowly, okay? It's downloading still, but yeah. We're going to learn about a lot of these services, okay? Right. Yeah. So I'm open for questions now. If you guys have any questions, so yeah. So we looked into billing dashboard hands-on and IEM user hands-on, right? Yeah. So that's the end of today's session. And maybe from tomorrow we'll have a new group. We'll have a new group, and we'll have a new meeting ID. And for the details, for further details, you can contact Kumar sir, right? Yeah. And I'll be pushing all these slides to the Google Drive, and I'll be adding the people, yeah, so that you can access all these slides and on all the information. Yeah, I'm open for questions, please. No, are we good? Okay, so shall I take the silence as that are we good? Can someone acknowledge? Yeah.
Yes, Roshan.
Okay.
Yes,
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I'll stop the recording now.